Getting beat up by spreadsheets in your brewery? Don't let those dumb pivot tables bully you around. Get rid of the spreadsheets and the other clunky brewery software and get Ollie, the smart and affordable way to manage your brewery. Learn more at getollie.com.
Okay, that was a scary and impressive advertisement for Ollie, both at the same time. Hello, folks. My name is Scott, and today we're going to talk about craft beer under pressure, really looking at strategic marketing to help us survive and scale. And just as scary as that Ollie commercial, let's talk for a second about the news we saw from NBWA the other day. And this isn't new to folks. We know that craft has been in a weird spot. We acknowledge that we need to address it, and breweries are finding different ways to really, for their business, set themselves up for survival, because that's what we do. Diversifying the portfolio of beverages. This has led to really innovative thinking on non-alcoholic. We've seen some breweries use their equipment for distilling purposes and turn out some great whiskeys. Co-packing to reduce operational cost. We see that here in Denver with Prost Brewing, a little bit with the Wilding Brands consolidation. Shrinking the distribution footprint. There was a time where we could basically move to any state that would have us. Now we're taking a look strategically at where we're growing or where we could grow, complementing those distributors' existing portfolios with our products. The closures and consolidations are rough to see. We see those nearly every day. And perhaps worst of all is the toll and the human impact with workforce reductions, when we have to see our friends and even family members let go from breweries because of the above. What's just as scary for me is some breweries are responding by reducing or eliminating any of their marketing efforts. And companies do this in a very defensive posturing. They look at what they see as extra and they reduce that as quickly as possible. Sometimes marketing really rises to the top of that list, but we're suggesting that it shouldn't. We're doubling down on marketing. And in this presentation, we're going to show you how and why. We know for a fact, much like other industries, marketing in downtimes helps to build your brand awareness, not erode it, because people are looking for those brands that can help them navigate the uncertainty of economics, politics, otherwise. Actually, marketing right now creates storytelling opportunities that are unique for your brand. It puts you on the front end of a rebound, and a rebound is a year down the road, 2 years down the road. We're going to see a leveling out between now and then. It's probably not going to be as big as it has in the past, but strategically speaking, craft beer is going to be around. It's just what shape it takes in the future. Marketing right now supports those people who have been loyal to you, and also the roots that you've established, the roots that you've laid in your community, the partnerships that you've made. It shows that you're a good corporate citizen right there. Marketing helps to, again, promote the fact that you have those solid, strong relationships. And we would suggest it's the most effective survival tactic. What we want you to take away from today is a list of shortcuts you can use today, right now. Shortcuts to marketing that actually works for your brewery. You may see some things that you're already putting into place. You may see ways to do it a little differently, maybe better. Maybe you're going to leave with a couple new ideas or some aha moments, hopefully, when you see that these marketing tactics and strategies are things that you can employ and use right now at your brewery in order to turn the tide. Again, my name is Scott Kolbe, and I work with Market Your Craft. And you've seen our presentations in the past. We really provide that marketing support and advisory service, critical project management for the beverage industry. And that's across beer and wine and spirits and non-alcoholic, functional, ready-to drinks. The sweet spot that we have is really storytelling your brand, helping you to cut through the clutter, planning, and we have a special heart for the tech side of things. So we love digital automation and digital media because it's so efficient. We've got 20 years in the space. Personally, I was an assistant brewer in a lifetime ago, home brewer forever. I live in Denver, and I'm also a part owner of a brewery. So I've been where you are. I understand it, and I hope that everything that you see in this presentation is a reflection of that. We've worked with some epic brands, really good people, really great relationships. These have really shaped our perspective on marketing across the entirety of the beverage industry. And we also work with some great people at a company called Merlot Marketing. And what they do is they take your storytelling to the next level. They help you to understand how to connect with journalists, how to connect with the media in order for your story to be told to a broader audience. It's not enough to tell your story locally. You need to start looking bigger than that, outside of your market, multi-state, national, even global in some cases. Merlot Marketing would be a great company to tap in order to find out how to speak with journalists and get the industry speaking about your brand in order to accelerate your growth. This presentation was made possible by Ali and Tapwise. We certainly appreciate them, and Andrew and Amanda from Craft Beer Professionals. We wanted to take the opportunity to just give you a blueprint because you're confused right now, potentially. The marketing that I'm doing isn't working. The tactics that I'm trying just aren't landing. And so all of those different clients that we've had in the past, again, have led us to a point where we have positions and proven tactics and strategies on how to win with your marketing. And so we're just going to give it to you, lay it all out there. The best visual tool seemed to be a keg collar. So what we have here is the 5 areas that really we would suggest that you focus in on. We want to help you understand how to design your website and really drive organic search and why that's important. We're looking also at email campaigns because email is not dead and those calls to action are very immediate. Creating content to build community with social. Developing a branded mobile app is new and extremely important. And then understanding where AI fits into your brewery. So let's start with the search. Now, forever, we've talked about find a brewery near me type searches. And that's extremely relevant when it comes to a local search, a neighborhood search. I have some extra time. Is there a brewery in the area? If you're a mobile-based search and you don't show up when somebody in the area is looking for your brewery, this is a big mess. Many people don't understand that it's the content on your website and the way you design your website and the keywords and phrases and optimization tactics that you use on your website that actually make you rise to the top of the search engine results. And so We, of course, think that you need a really strong, mobile-friendly, responsive website, and we're going to talk a little bit about the tools, but it's for the reason that we want you to be found. We want you to be searchable. And it's just as important when we're talking about AI, because brewery near me used to be the Google search. Now, what does the AI search look like? Because a lot of folks who are dipping their toe in AI for anything from constructing a grocery list for the meals for the week for their family of 5 to trying to find the next great vacation spot. Well, they're also asking it for brewery related information, similar to what they used to do with Google. And so we're going to talk about how you can show up in those searches as well. We love the folks at Common House. We're going to use them as an example here. Pierce and the team. They've got an extremely well-designed, very simple website that accomplishes all of their goals. They want to make sure that their beers are front and center. Their live tap list is on the home page. The great food options that they have, the events that they sponsor, they want to make sure that the community uses their website and in turn their mobile app, which we'll talk about, use it as really their information hub for everything Common House. And what you see at the very bottom of this screen is a tool called SEMrush. You can find it at semrush.com. But we ran Common House through SEMrush, and we saw that they are a very healthy site, well-designed, extremely visible within search engines, a ton of organic traffic. They've got the right keywords, and then they have people outside linking back to them, community and other brewers and such. Okay, this is a good formula for success. Because eventually what's going to happen is most people are going to take the results of an AI search as the truth. It's already happening. Why would you need 10 other links if Google Gemini or Copilot on the Microsoft side, along with ChatGPT, what if they just served you up the answer that you were looking for? I'm looking for a brewery that's family friendly with food options, an event happening this Friday. Now, if AI was able to properly search your website for all of those attributes of your brewery, then it's going to serve it up in a summary, and you might not even click on any of the links that are referenced on the right-hand side, and you're definitely not going to the links below in the search engine results. Analysts are calling this Google Zero, and it's real. And that's why you need to really focus on the content of your website being searchable and indexable by the AIs right now. Some things you already know. Let's stay focused on a website needs to be mobile responsive. If you are selling merch, or if you're selling direct to consumer, if you have that ability, then use the best practices. Make sure that it's a secure site. Make sure that you're using a plugin like WooCommerce or Shopify from a site perspective to ensure that transaction is safe. Bring all the content forward on the site. We like the 80% rule. 80% of the value should be on the homepage because not very many people are going deeper. And then make sure you've got that good brand story, the why. This is a list of plugins we'd recommend. If you folks are using WooCommerce, and most of the breweries out there are, if you're using WooCommerce, we think that these are best practices. Everything from themes to analytics with Google, search engine optimization with Yoast, Smush for image optimization and reducing the size, the download size of your pages. These, if you're already familiar, great. If you're not, maybe take a look. It might answer a question that you've had about your website that you just haven't been able to answer. We think this is hot. We're going to call it out. It's called multiple pages generator. The long and short of it is a brewery that we worked with, 6 and 40 here in Lakewood near me. What Josh and Jose and Tom asked for was, hey, we maintain this Excel spreadsheet offline. This is our beers, our schedule, the specs, the ingredients, the descriptions, everything about it. We want to put that up on the website. Okay, well, a lot of breweries actually manage either by way of Excel or a Google Sheet so that it's a constant list and updated spec sheet of all the brewery, the current and the previous beers. So multiple pages generator was able to suck in that Google Sheet and always keep the website up to date with the specs that are managed by Josh and the team there offline. So they don't have to go into the website and update it as soon as there's a change or a keg kicks. So check it out. And if you want to see it in practice, go over to our friends at 6 and 40 Brewery. Last slide here is just one critical question. Everybody has a website, but does it answer the question, why should I care? This is the brand story essence. Why should I care about your product, whether that's a beer or a clothing item? Doesn't matter. There are so many options out there right now. You need to be able to clearly articulate why and how you are different. And so if you take the time to come up with that brand story, kind of that one-liner that says uniquely who you are, put it right on the homepage. Because if most people aren't scrolling past one scroll on the homepage, especially if they're on their phones, and if they're definitely not going deeper into the site, you should tell them why they should care right up front. And we'd go further to say, show an image of people having fun at your brewery so that they see themselves having fun with their friends there as well. A brand story also serves as a filter, because if you're redesigning your website and you're just kind of going by your gut and you don't have a filter, kind of a criteria for what success looks like, you're going to find yourself saying, just doesn't feel right. But if you have a brand story, then everything should ladder up to that. And it should make it easy for you to say, wow, that's spot on. That image, not so much. Yeah, actually, that social post, that's my personality as a brand. So consider this as kind of the highest level filter for all of your marketing efforts. Number 2, we still love email. And breweries are and aren't using it. You see them go dark for a couple months and then they get excited about it again. They think seasonally it might help bump up their downtime, OND, October, November, December, kind of that weird holiday and end of year period. Things are starting to get cold. Not as many visits to the brewery. So there are breweries using it, but not using it as consistently as we would recommend. There are some stats here, and I'll let you read those, but the point for us is that email prompts action. It's a fact. Whether or not it's $42 at your brewery in terms of the return may or may not be the case, but you will see a return on emails that are well constructed with good calls to action. A lot of people still are reading emails, and surprisingly, or maybe not so, most of the people read them within an hour of receipt. And then there's that significant drop off afterwards. 24 hours, you're probably not going to get an open. But most people who are reading the emails are taking the next step to either visit or purchase. You've been through this with your web gal or guy. Maybe you wear a bunch of different hats and you do the web as well as the social and the email. If so, we appreciate you, because it's tough to keep all of this straight, but setting up your email for success before you start sending out a bunch of emails is really important. And we have our favorite tools for sure, and you'll see some of those. But a couple things to keep in mind: setup is very important. Making sure that you allow for a good privacy compliant, can spam compliant opt in, opt out process. Make that very visible on your site, even from the homepage. Make sure that the emails all have a call to action and a time frame associated with it. Please, please, please send yourself a couple, and then look at it on your mobile phone, look at it on your tablet, look at it on your desktop. Make sure that in any way that one of your guests could receive your email, it looks spot on. And then this is really geeky, but we've seen so often emails that aren't delivered, or they're delivered with 52 different errors or warning messages for the recipient, because things like DMARC, DKIM, and spoofing are not set up properly. And ping us if you have questions on how to do that. But it's worth saying that it's not do it once and forget it. Now, if you've got MailChimp or if you've got Klaviyo, you need to quarterly reauthorize the connection between those platforms and GoDaddy, your hosting provider, for example, because they want to make sure that the accounts are solid and that you're sending out good emails and that they don't end up in spam folders, because this is not good. If you've ever seen this in your inbox, just imagine if one of your guests receive an email that has all of these warnings attached to it. I wouldn't open this. And I got this from a reputable sender. All it means is make sure that you are receiving the emails that you send, and you're receiving them in a way that you would want your guests to receive them as well. Like we said, we have our preferences, and we love MailChimp. It's easy. Pricing has changed, but the feature set, they're really, now that they're in bed with Intuit and part of that ecosystem, they've got additional resources available and tighter connection with QuickBooks and things that might matter to you. MailChimp is a gold standard. They have a lot of features that we don't even explore because it's beyond us, but journey mapping and creating A/B testing and all of the analytics that they have, you could go crazy. And a lot of folks do. We would just recommend that you get in and you try it if you haven't already. It's free to use to start. We recommend that most breweries are kind of in the 1,000, 5,000 recipients range, and that qualifies for a paid program. But start out with a free one. If you're using Klaviyo and you're not happy with it, try MailChimp or vice versa. One thing that's really important is just deliverability. There are a lot of other email services out there, and they may be less expensive. They're probably not easier to use, SendGrid and things like this. We've seen a lot. There's something to be said for going with the standard on email service providers, because you're nearly guaranteed deliverability. And it's just something you don't have to worry about. So if you're not happy with your current provider, take a look at MailChimp. Klaviyo, we've had a lot of experience with Klaviyo, and what we can say with confidence is, wow, Klaviyo is tight. It's also a lot more technical, and so you can get in there and you can monkey around with it. You can customize it. You can do a lot of personalization. You can incorporate aspects of the selling process, especially they've got a great relationship with Shopify from an e-commerce perspective. So it all depends on just how deep down the rabbit hole you want to go. And what we might recommend is if you are looking for a provider, start with MailChimp. If you're looking to go further and do a lot more testing and gain a lot more insights from the behavior of the email recipients, maybe give Klaviyo a try. Remember, it's not dead. Email is very much alive and kicking. Some things to remember. Don't use your personal email. Use like a designated email. You don't want for your personal email, your business email, to get stuck in a spam folder and all of a sudden blacklisted across the internet because you've got business to do. So consider a separate email. Know that email frequency is important, but don't overwhelm people. You don't want to send out more than once a week. Welcome messages, event reminders, and then consider segmenting your list. It could be by the event that they attended where they gave you their email address, or it could be based on purchase behavior, mug club membership. So segmenting the list and then using those segments to send them more customized messages. That evokes more action. No surprise to you that social is changing, and we love social for what it's worth. We are just seeing quite a few changes in behavior, one, from the drinkers, and two, technically from the platforms that have us a little bit concerned. Has us a little bit concerned because we've seen stats that look like 10 to 20% of your followers are receiving your messages. Now that's concerning. Let's rewind and play that back. 10 to 20% of those people who raised their hand and said, I want to follow you on the socials, are actually seeing your message in their feed. And so if you have a timely topical message about an event update for something happening today, they may not even see that. So again, we look at all of these media options and we think how media is the message, how important it is to have a call to action and to evoke that kind of action or reaction on the part of the drinker, and what's the most efficient way to get that news out. We're looking now at social being more to support the brand story with good visuals and opportunities for kind of short bursts of timely topical messaging. We look at emails for the calls to action and the immediacy, and then again the website for that great organic search and AI search. If we look at taking maybe a more balanced approach, then we could suggest that maybe the focus that you had in the past of we have to post 2 or 3 times a day. We need to be out there. We need to be at the top of every. Don't stress as much as you have in the past. We still think social is important, but maybe knock it down a bit as far as the frequency of it. 2 to 3 times a week, let's say. Maybe a little more if you've got events or a new product launch or you're releasing a new beer. Don't stress about it being perfect. It can be a little raw. It doesn't have to be staged and polished. The lifestyle photos are really, really important. Again, it's showing drinkers that they can have an incredible time sitting at a bar top drinking your beer. That's the purpose of social, in our opinion. Also showing folks having fun, but remember that you need permission if you show their likeness. So be careful. You've got musician coming in on Friday night, maybe just post a sign to the left or right of the artist and make sure that people know that they could be in a video or they could be photographed, and that seeing that acknowledges the fact. So they can't come back and say, well, I didn't give you permission to use my photo in your social post. Well, actually, it's posted all around the brewery that you could be, part of our social posts. And then remember that the guidelines change a lot. And so try and stay up to date, whether that's you or if you have an agency on the outside. Again, we are big fans of Sprout Social because if you lean into social and it's important to your brand strategy, your messaging strategy, your storytelling, then having a single source that basically syndicates or pushes out one message to a number of different social platforms and then collects the analytics for those in a single source so you can have the reporting you need at your fingertips, the social listening for the competitors or the peers down the street. Sprout Social does this, and it's, in our opinion, forever been the gold standard. And so we've done a lot of work with clients. We're an authorized reseller of Sprout Social. We love it. It does a number of things well. Content calendars, audits of what the competitors are doing, using that as a baseline for your own efforts and kind of your insights into what you should do. Social listening, tracking, and reporting. You can always find out more from them at Sprout Social, or just give us a call and ask. Because nothing's better than just a packed calendar. Now, again, we're not suggesting that this is right for everybody, but this is an example of a schedule that is kind of pulsing towards the middle of the week and tapering off at the end. You see that it's a similar post, perhaps across one particular day, all 4 or 5 social accounts that they use. So just imagine the simplicity and the efficiency of your team managing social efforts in this way. Again, Sprout Social is great with their stats that they give to the users. And even if it's easy to use Sprout Social, you can still focus your efforts. Don't feel like you have to be on every single platform. Now, we'd have some maybe naysayers here who say, yeah, okay, that's great, but we love TikTok. We're not gonna discourage you from using TikTok. We personally don't believe that that's the best vehicle right now or the most efficient vehicle right now for drinkers. But breweries are encouraged to experiment with it. What we're seeing right now is kind of that sweet spot, 18 to 29, 30 to 49. And of course, we only talk about advertising to the drinkers who are of legal drinking age. However, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook still kind of rise to the top. What about a mashup? So there's a tool service called Smash Balloon, and Smash Balloon really takes a look at the social feeds across all the accounts and then makes that presentable or displayable within your website. And so if you want to add a little bit of that lifestyle flair to your website, you might take a look at the Smash Balloon plugin. I think it's available for both, but definitely for WooCommerce and WordPress. So it'll pull down any of the timely, topical, or filtered social media posts, and then it'll display it on your homepage or your events page. This immediately gives you that kind of updated look and feel for your website, whereas your other pages might not change that often. And then, of course, services like Linktree to allow for links in your profiles. One area that everybody talks about is paid influencers. And paid influencers are very valuable to some brands, and we would recommend that very few breweries are going to get their money's worth out of a relationship with a paid influencer. Either you can't afford it or you're not going to benefit from it. Remember that they get paid regardless of whether or not somebody buys your product or shows up at your tap room. You may take a look at just their footprint, the opportunity to reach new people. Now, if it's hyper local, that might be a little different. If it's something relevant to the state or the industry, maybe there's a tie there. But otherwise, again, you may be looking at influencers who have millions of followers nationally or globally. And if your distribution footprint is smaller than that, then you may not be fully leveraging whatever you're paying the influencer to promote your products. And then it comes down to what platforms are they on and what platforms do your drinkers use? Mobile app. This one's new for us and relatively new in the industry. You saw yesterday the Tapwise presentation from Ross, which was awesome. And I'm going to be honest, Ross convinced me. I was very reluctant for the last couple of years, and Market Your Craft didn't really do a lot of work with clients on the mobile app space. There wasn't a lot of interest or appetite there. But in recent years, and continuing the conversation with Ross, he convinced me that this is something worth pursuing. And so we're going to talk about mobile apps and why, but it's highly effective at engaging the current drinkers. On the negative side, you have to have those drinkers first. So it's not necessarily a tool natively to attract new drinkers, although visibility on a app store could certainly raise the awareness of the availability of that branded app, but it's mainly for your current drinkers. It's a direct communication channel to a drinker's phone. Higher open rate than emails, no charges like text messages, and there are a number of features that can help drive loyalty and traffic. What you can do with that mobile app, again, is to grab attention that you may not have had before, really cutting through the clutter. There's a better ROI than many of the vehicles out there. What we've seen from Ross and his roster of just awesome breweries, they're seeing that really they've got 97%, better than 90% reach, 25% engagement with their messaging, and then even up to a 10% or 10 times return on the investment there. And we're going to talk about how that's possible. Subscriptions. You might have a mug club. The app could help to digitize that, but it also provides the drinker with a number of different options that they didn't have in a traditional program. And that sets up some beautiful and predictable recurring revenue. Gives you tighter control than a paper card for sure. Offline logbook of mug club members and redeemed rewards. There are tighter controls over the rewards and redemption process, and no more loyalty cards that are printed. Tapwise, again, a sponsor of the CBP this fall. you've got opportunities to do push notifications, memberships, punch cards, custom content, uh, really a marketing engine that you may not have had access to before, because again, you've got the ability to have a broad reaching message immediately to all drinkers who have your app on their phone, or you can customize it with a little bit of targeting and segmentation. And if you want more info, jump over to Tapwise and give them a call. This was a stat that I loved from yesterday's presentation. He said 98 98's the number of taproom visits driven by the app to redeem a reward. Now, that's average per brewery per month. And so these are incremental visits. These are visits that may not have happened otherwise. So give the mobile app some serious consideration, if not already. If you're nervous, it's less expensive than you might think. You control, it's not a matter of coding. It's not a website that you have to do. It's something that's very WYSIWYG and easy to use. Cost is predictable. The revenue starts to become predictable as well. Drinkers of all ages, LPA plus, will use it if you promote it. And then there are a ton of analytics on the back end. All right, we're in the home stretch. So AI, everybody's using it. People are excited about it. People are also nervous, and with good reason. Breweries might be leaning into this for strategy, and that could take a bunch of different forms. We've seen brewers who are using it for recipes. We've seen brewers who are using it for marketing. We've seen brewers who are using it on the back end for financials. And a lot of those things may be possible and may be more efficient or made more efficient with the use of AI and those tools. But it's not a replacement for good, solid business vision and strategy. From a generative perspective, it can create some good content, but it doesn't replace your brand's voice. Your brand's voice is still very specific and unique to you. So you need to keep AI in check. Accuracy is not 100%. And what they call hallucinations are actually real, where facts and figures and different talking points are fabricated seemingly out of nowhere. And this is getting better, and the number of hallucinations are actually reducing, but it's still an issue. Data privacy and compliance are important. Know what you're putting up there and be cautious. Make sure you've got a paid account. And then a lot of folks are concerned about the energy usage and long-term sustainability. If we continue to use it at the level we are and we don't get more efficient on the processing side, then we're going to start to see market increases in energy uses as a result of this. And that's not going to be a good play for the environment as well. Brewers don't want to be attached to that. So we need to find a solution. My environmental plug. When it works, it's great. We've got faster ability to create content. Customer engagement is there, especially with the bots. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a second. There are smarter insights. It can chew through volumes of data and instantly give you 3 or 4 different perspectives or summaries of the data that could quickly help you to make some decisions or do some testing. Chatbots are very important. And then the inspiration for particular pieces of marketing copy, if you need some A/B content for social media. But we need to stay focused. And with AI, we like the idea of kind of keeping ourselves in check with content creation for social posts or maybe event descriptions. We like the image AI tools, the generative tools for image cleanup perspectives, but not necessarily for complete creation. It's getting better and better. There's even some announcements this week about major brands that have been leaning on generative AI, the visual tools, to create their print advertising and even some of their video ads, and how people recognize that they're AI generated, but they aren't really bothered by it. Some are bothered. You just don't want to be part of that discussion right now. We would recommend prospecting. You might find tools like Apollo IO very helpful for you to add some new people to your newsletter. Give them a buy one get one offer in order to come in. People who aren't existing customers, maybe in the surrounding towns, if you're local, if you are really focusing on more commercial buyers from a distribution perspective, there could be a play there. So prospecting, we always like the idea of getting 3 times the number of current customers, getting the new customers in the door to replace them. Storytelling can't create your story, but it certainly can help you tell it. And then again, spotting those trends and insights in large language models or all the data. Here are some services that we like. You may be familiar, you may already be using some of these. We like Adobe Express, Canva, and Shutterstock, kind of in the image category. Windsor AI, this is really for reporting. We like that it's a smart connector to a number of different on and offline systems that help to consolidate that reporting, which we'll see in just a second. The ChatGPT and Gemini, we go back and forth between those depending on what we're really looking for. And something that it struggles with a little bit is kind of layered logic, going down a path and then continuing to fine tune that while still remembering what you started with. Sendbird AI is a chatbot. It's a little on the pricey side. We actually used it with our friends over there at Propagate Labs, the Use Propagator. We used it with Matthew and Brittany and the team for a little bit, and we really liked it. They've changed their model. Now they're more agentic. Before they were more of a bot, and we were able to feed decades worth of the team's knowledge into Sendbird and have the chatbot return really thoughtful yeast recommendations based on use case scenarios. Now Sendbird is moving more towards a more all-encompassing e-commerce transaction management, checking your subscription, making changes or edits to your order, refunding, and that made it a little too pricey for most of our clients. Storybrand.ai, if you've read Donald Miller's Building a Storybrand book, it's a great reference for marketing. He's basically incorporated all of his teachings into an AI service. And it's interesting. I still think there's room for human marketers, but definitely gets you down a path and gets you thinking. And we talked about Apollo. Chatbase is a tool that we recommend now after moving on from using Sendbird.ai. And Chatbase has a free program to start. It's a very straightforward bot that could fit on your website where visitors could ask about a particular beer. Give me the specs on a beer. What does it pair well with? How are is there anything different about the brewing process? So all of this information could be fed into the learning, the knowledge of Chatbase, and then presented 24/7 on your website for those types of questions that could be offloaded. You might not need to answer those in social, in person, by phone, or email. Otherwise, it's handled automatically by the chatbot. This is a valid use case in our suggestion. It looks something like this. You get a playground, you're able to teach it, and then your dialog box on the right-hand side gives you an idea of what the user has to look forward to on your website. Last couple slides. So reporting, we threw this in there because we think it's so important. A lot of different ways to report the success or challenge of your business. We think that you just need to. It's not a matter of if you do weekly, monthly, quarterly reporting. It's how you do it. It's what you include, not just sales, not just depletions, inventory, the normal economics of the business, but the marketing as well. Start with the end in mind. Take a look at all the metrics. Keep it simple and consistent. And then use that data to take action for your brewery. Give Google Looker Studio a try. Again, we like a lot of the Google tools, but this allowed us to connect the dots in one single dashboard that's always up to date and emailed on a regular basis. The traffic to the website, any emails that we sent out and actions taken on those, engagement with that app, tapping into Tapwise and making sure that those stats are reflected in that single report. Social, all the platforms, point of sale. We looked at Arrived, we connect it right up to Arrived and pulled out a lot of the data from that. So if you don't have a single source yet for your reporting, maybe take a look at Looker Studio. Now you might say at the end of this, okay, well, we've talked about a lot of things. I know as a brewery owner what I'm spending on all of my marketing. We would suggest that you maybe take a look at, if you liked these, the estimate for all of this is about $9,300 a year. That's not us selling it. That's just us taking a look at the monthly cost of all the things we talked about and adding it up. So having an industry-leading branded app, having a mobile responsive website with all of the best practices, having the right social media monitoring and listening and performance, and then using the appropriate AI tools. If you didn't already have a budget, you might say, okay, well, I could pick and choose. I could get somewhere close to this. Now you know this is about what you would pay if you wanted to do all of these things, which we consider our best practices for marketing your brewery right now. There are a bunch of caveats. There always are. The marketing also depends on having good product. Your brewers are doing an amazing job, but we need to make sure that we're always looking to what the drinkers want. And what the drinkers want right now might be a light sessionable lager with a lot of flavor. We're seeing a lot of that right now, pills and whatnot. It could be ready to drink or something that's in a can that's easy to take to the beach or on a hike. If they're visiting your tap room, they may want options, non-alcoholic wine or otherwise. So start with the quality product, because once you get all these people in with your marketing, they have to get paid off with great experience in the tap room as well as great product. Still consider your events, whether that's on-site or sponsorship. These can get expensive. We love them, but we know that not every brewery can afford them, which is why we've got it here towards the end. Public relations, we talked about in the very beginning. Once you've got your story, use it. And you might use either a public relations agency like Merlot Marketing, or you might use public relations professional to help you tell that story to journalists who can write about you and draw all the attention to your brewery because you're doing something right. Let's celebrate those stories with public relations. Again, the tasting room experience. But remember, the marketing has to be a budget line item. If it's not already, you've got some of the cost estimates to make it. So take a look at next year's budget some of these things in there, expand for a little bit of buffer because the unexpected happens. It's just worth saying that the QR code right here on this slide leads to this presentation and a link and list of all of the tools that we talked about today. So if you want to share this with your marketing team, if you want to share it with your webmaster, your social media person, it has all of the best practice plugins and all of the services that we recommended. So grab it with the QR code. And then, as always, we appreciate you. We appreciate craft beer professionals for giving us this platform to speak and to hopefully share some valuable insights and tools that you can use to survive and scale your brewery. If you want to grab any of the guides up on marketyourcraft.com, please do so. And you can have a guide for free on us. Just use the code here at the bottom. And we want to thank you. We want to thank Andrew and Amanda, craft beer professionals, Ollie, Tapwise, and Ross, and Jake and James over there. We want to thank all of you for being a part of this. And I saw that there was a question, and Dave had a very thoughtful one. Hasn't affected our brewery, a lot of profit margin, distribution models, however. It's fair. There's a lot there. Dave, I want to say thank you actually for putting that up in the chat, and happy to talk about some of those finer points offline. I think the greatest point or the summary of this is that this is not a one size fits all for everyone. What we're suggesting will benefit most breweries if they are struggling with finding what their true north is for marketing. And we believe that getting some of the fundamentals right, will get us back on track. And in the meantime, we can start to control some of our costs. We don't have to play quite such a defensive mode right now. We can be a little more aggressive during the downtime to hopefully help our brand stand out. And again, if you have follow-up questions, if anybody on the call would like to reach out to us, you can reach me at scott@marketyourcraft.com. And I want to thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this session, we'd love to see you in real life. We host in-person workshops across the country for craft beer professionals just like you that are held in some of the most exciting beer destinations around. These immersive events are designed to help you grow and connect with others. You'll meet peers from across the country and leave with actionable strategies for success. Connection has never been more important, and you can learn more at cbpconnects.com. Cheers. See you there.